Let's call the March 10th Bristol Borough School Board meeting to order. Salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Cullen?
Here.
Ms. Curran?
Here.
Mr. D'Angelo?
Here.
Ms. Paglione?
Here.
Mr. Poliafico?
Here.
Mr. Parolo?
Mr. Parolo's excused.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Poplawski?
Mr. Poplawski's excused.
And Mr. Chicoletti?
Here. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with said addendums?
I motion.
Do I have a second? Mr. Cullen? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? Motion carries. Reports. Dr. Schaefer, do you mind if I introduce our engineer who's working on our air conditioning system?
Certainly, no problem.
Could he have that? Sean? I'm sorry, I know I put you on the spot, but I just want the public to know what is being done here in the Bristol Borough School District.
Right. So on behalf of the school district, they reached out to us as their engineer to constitute a replacement of the windows at the high school. A portion of it was already replaced, but this will be the replacement of all the remaining windows. Due to the scope of the project and material lead times, it'll be a two-phase project, complete probably about a quarter to a third this year, and then the remaining of the work will be done next year. And then we're also working on installation of AC in the first and second stories of the front of the building. So that'll also be a two-phase project, a portion of it this year, and then the remaining will hopefully be completed at the end of next year. So, pretty simple. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Sean.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So as stated, when all these projects are complete, the high school will have a, you can leave, you don't have to stay, thank you. At the high school, every room will have air conditioning, and the project will be completed for the windows in the high school, which now is only the front of the school on Wilson Avenue. So at the end of all of these projects, every room will have new windows for better, the sun's coming through it, and there's leaks, the windows are old. But anyway, the improvement project will be completed within the next couple of years, depending on the product availability and bidding and all, and how everything, goes. But we just wanted the public to know, what was going on. Okay, Dr. Schaefer?
Yes. This evening, I'm asking the Board of Education to approve the updated health and safety plan following the CDC's recommendation to make masks optional in school. The COVID committee continuously looked at the different cases throughout the district. For the past 2 weeks, we've been at zero at all levels. So the committee made the decision to go along with the CDC's recommendations and make masks optional. And this evening, we have updated the health and safety plan to reflect as such, and that's what we're asking the Board of Education to approve for this evening. Okay. I will say, just a reminder, we do have 20 students leaving for London, Paris, and Rome, March 15th through the 22nd. So this is something that this trip was originally planned in 2020, but for obvious reasons we weren't able to go. And now they're going. The students have raised the money themselves through fundraisers, what have you. So it should be an excellent opportunity for all of them. And then this evening we have some very special guests with us. We have members of the Power Interfaith Bucks County Education Justice Team. They're here to promote adequate and equitable funding for schools from Harrisburg. And I'm going to let them speak more on the issue. But should this lawsuit go through in our favor, it would be a significant change in funding for school districts, especially for a district such as Bristol Borough. Okay. So, like I said, those individuals are here. They're supporting this down in Harrisburg, And I'm going to let them speak more on it and let them at this time. Turn it over to Mr. Fine. Is that okay, Mr. President? And then we'll go from there.
Dr. Schaefer, thank you very much. You've done my introduction for me, but I will just say that when I came here in December to first talk about this, and I had a smaller version of this that shows that by one good estimate, we should have $5,000 more for each of our kids in the borough to really have something like equity with more wealthy districts. And, you know, we work hard enough over the next couple of years, maybe we'll get something like this. But I said then there were more groups than ever before working on this issue, and that was even more true than I realized because I got a call shortly after that by our friends at PowerBucks Education Justice Team saying they would like to visit the district to show solidarity with districts like ours. And I will not say any more except to introduce my good friend, Nancy, who will come up and explain a little bit more about why they're here.
I'm the lady that you talked to on the phone and had the great conversation about New York. Hi, my name is Nancy Martin. I think today may mark a turning point in the struggle for full and fair funding for public education in Pennsylvania, and let me tell you why. Closing arguments were made today in Commonwealth Court, where school districts from around the state came together to say that our system of funding is inadequate, inequitable, and it needs to change. Another thing that happened today, our state Senate Appropriations Committee held hearings today on the education budget. Please excuse me, I had eye surgery and I have little things crawling around I have floaters in my eyes. Let me start again. Our state Senate Appropriations Committee held hearings today on the education budget for 2023. The governor has requested a $1.9 million increase. I see that as very good. And of course, we're here today, and we add our voices to the call for full and fair funding. We have a problem. Our state's own standards, funding for our school district, by our state's own standards, our district is $4 billion short this year. Our legislature's inequitable funding structure consistently assigns districts like Bristol Borough with far less money to spend per student than wealthier districts. This year alone, Bristol Borough has been shortchanged a total of $7,138,681. And let me put that in figures that are easier for me to understand. Each child is losing over $5,000 per year. I'm sure that every person in this room tonight knows how much this additional funding would benefit our students. Power Interfaith stands with young people of Pennsylvania in campaigning for full and fair funding for every school district. We, the leaders of PowerBucks Education Justice Team, have come here tonight to make a symbolic gesture. A gesture to call attention to the need for full and fair funding and at the same time recognize the extra work that falls on the shoulders of every teacher in an underfunded district. We have an apple for each teacher to show our appreciation for their hard work. Vanna? And that's the hard work they do every single day in a district consistently shortchanged by our legislature. Apples are nice, don't get me wrong, but fair funding is better. Fair funding is essential for a student from a lower income family or a child of color living in an underfunded district to leave school on an equal footing with a student coming from a wealthier family living in a better funded district. Well, we also have gift cards to give each teacher. Isn't she good? She tried out for the Wheel of Fortune. She didn't make it. We have gift cards for each teacher to spend on whatever they need in their classroom. We call this gift a small down payment on the more than $7 million owed to your students. I'd like to invite Principal Kelly Rosato to come forward to accept the apples, gift cards, and a gigantic box of art supplies on behalf of your teachers. Ms. Rosato, come over here for a minute because I want to recognize you. We're giving money to the teachers. I know what you do every day.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. And thank you, obviously, this small token, but more importantly, for the work that you're doing for our district and for our students. And of course, I always say the great job that the teachers do. You know, they're on the front lines, and I'm here to support them as well as our school board. So thank you so much. It means
Please,
more
my
than you
friend,
know.
please.
Thank you.
Ms. Rosato?
Yes.
I heard an amazing phrase once. People who love their own children, they're good people. But children who love and take care of other people's children, those are great people.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. Thank you all. Mr. and Mrs. Klein, thank you.
We know that our $1,000 Band-Aid, our $1,000 checks is just a Band-Aid. But sometimes a Band-Aid is what a teacher needs to get through the day. I taught 22 years in New York City public schools. I loved every minute. I loved every day more than the day before. About 30 years ago, the Board of Education issued checks to all the classroom teachers to purchase supplies. The excitement at PS 124 was palpable. The teachers' room was abuzz with conversations about who was choosing what and why. I received $150. I was an elementary science teacher. I had all the basic supplies I needed, so I could purchase items I wanted. And I did for my students. But among them, I purchased a denim apron, which cost $8. And that apron I wore for over 20 years. Because in the middle of a hands-on science lesson, kids ran out of paper towels, so they came over and wiped themselves on me so that they didn't go home dirty. Most teachers spend most teachers spend some of their own money on their classrooms. But professionals should never be forced to take money out of their own pockets to purchase basic supplies like pencils or chart paper. Just think how the face of education would change if every school district, regardless of student color, ability, or zip code, had sufficient funds for more than just basic supplies. If every district were fully staffed with teachers and librarians and counselors. If every district had the best curriculum, professional development, and technology support that full and fair funding buys other districts right now. We invited our state representatives to come tonight, and two did try their best. Representative Tina Davis was called away to an important committee meeting in Pittsburgh, and she sends her regrets. Senator Tommy Tomlinson is recovering from major back surgery. We also received, though, a written statement from Representative John Galloway expressing his ongoing support for full funding in education. Thanks for extending this invitation to us this evening. And I'd like to let you know, and the people here present, that I think the message is growing, I think it's getting larger, and it's getting more powerful. On Tuesday, I received a message from a member of Power in Lancaster. That lady heard about tonight's school board meeting. Her team was interested in our plans, and they are also considering some type of engagement with their local school board. I'm beginning to have more hope. I hope you do too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, if I could just say something, all these individuals, they volunteer their time for this. They're not paid for this, and I mean, it's these types of grassroots efforts that are going to make a difference in the education of our children and the lives of our children. And I know I speak on behalf of the Board of Education, myself, and the entire Bristol Borough School District. We certainly appreciate what you're doing, and thank you very, very much.
And we want to invite you to join with others in the state in working together on influencing the legislature. And I believe Mr. Ciccoletti has agreed to join us for a photograph. The Pennsylvania education voters of PA have a campaign next week to put 100 different photographs from every county on social media with this poster saying, "Fully fund our schools." And we're hoping that you'll let us take your picture with this poster so that we can post it on our social media.
Would you like a picture of all of us?
As many as are willing to be photographed.
You and Tom go.
Well, it's the whole board, really.
Well, and you're the president. It's an easier picture. It's an easier picture.
Listen, everybody crowd around. This is all, this is
Just
all.
crowd around right there.
told me I had to dress up.
Crowd around. Nick, Kelly, get in. Come on. Just like we do the picture for the yearbook.
Aren't we doing,
Yeah,
I'll
we
hold
might
the
as
sign.
aren't we doing that tonight?
He never came.
Isn't this better?
But how about if we use this?
I can't stand up.
He can, sit down. You're gonna sit down right there. Sit right there.
John, why don't you hold that up?
Okay. Yeah. Come on, come up, wherever.
Brianna, sit down, Brianna. Perfect.
All right.
Thank you. Great. Was that better?
I'll put this on my knee.
Thank you, board.
Can we get that?
Great.
Can we use that picture?
Do we, okay. Thank you. Dr. Schaefer, do you have anything?
That's all that I have.
Okay. Mrs. Rosado, do you have anything?
To share.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Actually, I left a couple of handouts for each of you at your seat, one of which I'm happy to share that we will be resuming some of our beloved events on that sheet, which are mother-son dance and our father-daughter dance, respectively on April 22nd and May 6th, as well as our math and literacy nights. These events engage so many of our families. They're very well attended, and they're opportunities for our families to create lasting memories. And so I shared that with you, and then I also shared the STAR report, and I would like to ask if Kate Whitman would be able to kind of speak on it on behalf for us, as she is the Director of Educational Programming at the Peace Center, and we've partnered, gosh, I don't know how many years now, Kate, but
I've been there almost 10 years, and the Peace Center started partnering with all of you even before I was there. So we've lost count.
right, and the work that you do is so important to us, and so thank you, and I know you got good stuff to share, and it makes me proud.
Thank you so much, Kelly, and thank you all for having me tonight. I'm really excited to be at this board meeting because we at the Peace Center really missed being in the schools in person over these past 2 years. Those of you on the board, you have a copy of this report from our program STAR. If any of you in the audience would like one, I do have some at my table over there. So just a little bit of background. We are a nonprofit in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. We specialize in conflict resolution and bullying prevention. And we go into schools all across Bucks County doing prevention programming and also interventions when students are in conflict. This is probably our oldest prevention programming. It used to be called Respecting Me, Respecting You. If any of you have heard of that program before, we now call it STAR. And we delivered this here in Snyder-Girardi in January. Bristol Friends Meeting funded the program. I know that's Jim Fine's meeting, and I need to give a shout out. Where is John? John's way back there, but he was one of our educators in the classroom. And what we did was for 1 week, for 5 consecutive days, we came into each third grade classroom and we delivered different lessons on bullying prevention. So day 1 was community building. Day 2, we talk about emotional management and coping skills. Day 3 is empathy building. Day 4 is conflict resolution. And day 5 is how can students stand up to bullying when they see it. At the very end of the program, they all take an anonymous survey so that we see what they thought of it, what they learned, what they liked, and then we pull it all together into this report. Now, our goal at the onset of a program is always that this is going to strengthen their relationships with each other, that it's going to build a stronger classroom, and that because of that empathy building, that it will prevent bullying and violence down the line. And so here is some of what your students said. There are a few things I'd like to highlight in here. So 92% of the third grade students reported that their classmates are kinder to one another since STAR. And 92% report that they themselves personally get along with their classmates better. This is always an exciting one. 79% of students look forward to coming to school more since STAR. And we measure that because we know that if kids feel attached to school young, they have great outcomes moving through school. They're less likely to, get in trouble even in high school or be suspended or have detention because they want to be here and they feel connected to their peers and their teachers. 81% of students are better at calming themselves down since STAR. That's a big goal, and especially this year, we know that students have been struggling with everything over the past 2 years, and that comes into school, so we taught them some self-soothing techniques. 74% feel more comfortable sharing their emotions since STAR. 91% of students feel more confident resolving their conflicts peacefully since the program, and 79% use these skills outside of school as well as in school. So that is our quantitative data, again, totally anonymous from the students. Just a few of the qualitative data pieces, we ask them questions like, if you see bullying, what can you do? We try to see what they remember. We had some answers that say, tell the teacher that it's not nice. We have do an I statement. That means saying like, I feel angry when I see you bullying my friend and I need you to stop. We have, you can go up to them and say, please stop bullying him or her. You can tell the principal. I like this one. I'll protect whoever is getting bullied and tell the bully, you should know better. You always get some very precocious answers here. We also ask them, what can you do if you are in a conflict with a classmate? The first one we have here is, I can say, can you please lower your voice? We have several that say, you can say sorry. This one says you can say sorry or say, okay, I'll do what you want for a bit. Another student said you can stay calm and take turns sharing what you would like to say. You can try to calm the other person down. This person said you can use STAR. And STAR, the name of this program, stands for Stop, Think, Ask, Resolve. Say sorry if needed or tell a teacher. Take some space from your friend or tell them how you feel. Do not fight with them. If they are mean, you can walk away. And this is one of my favorites. You can say, I'm sorry for fighting with you. Can we start over? And then the last piece of this evaluation is we say to them, what's the most important thing that you learned in this program? There is one, we don't tell the kids to do this, but one kid did write in all caps, smile, and put a smiley face. So we're glad that the program made them happy. We have how to be peaceful and calm. I learned how to control my emotions and to stop and think before I express my emotions. I learned how to be a peaceful person. One child wrote, all of it was important. Another child learned how to make an I statement about their feelings, how to calm down when I'm mad. I learned that you need to listen to other people when they talk. Be kind, stand up to bullies, and say stop. To respect others. This is another one of my favorites. I have been more grown up since we have done it. And then we have some on this very last page. Always be kind to someone, even if they're being rude. You can always tell your friend your feelings. and I learned how to stand up for people. So this is just a sample of what the students took away from the program. This is probably not going to be their only touch point with the Peace Center through their time in Bristol Borough. For most of them, it was their first, but we also come to the after-school programs, and so some of them have actually had this programming twice. We also do programming in 4th grade, in middle school, and in high school. Sometimes I end up meeting with kids at the high school, and they're like, oh, I know Miss Kate. So that's the really cool thing, is that because your district values this programming so much, we see your students over and over, and they really learn these tools. The other thing that I have to say is that, as the Peace Center, we can come in and teach all of this stuff, and it's wonderful, but we don't get a report as excellent with this one without excellent teachers who are reinforcing these lessons every single day, and we just love working with your teachers and your students and your administration here. So thank you so much for having me, and thank you for having us in Bristol year after year. We love being part of your community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more thing. And lastly, and I didn't have flyers to share with everybody, but if you're a part of our Bristol Borough Communications page, which is our Facebook page where we share just different things that are occurring in our district, Mrs. Tyrell, who runs our after-school club for service learning, has begun collecting a variation of items that will be donated to Ukraine. And we're partnering up with Lower Bucks Hospital. And so she posted pictures today of the 6th grade students in the Service Learning Club packing boxes, and we will do a school-wide collection of several items that they had requested, and they will get them to the folks in Ukraine. So we're happy with the work that we're doing.
Thank you, Mrs. Rosado. Keep the good work up. Mr. Nastasi?
Yes, I have a few things. I'm just going to write down a list here. I want to talk about our service learning, specifically our food pantry. So our food pantry, we got a whole nother room within the school, and it's we have our shelves in. We're well organized. Mrs. Renard is one of our English teachers, done a phenomenal job with our students and the service learning aspect, giving back to the community. But we need some help. So what we're asking for is a few things, a few donations. So granola bars, mac and cheese cups, small water bottles, some cereal, non-perishable milk, snacks, chips, and cups of noodles. Any donations that anybody in the community would have and want to donate could come right to our school, drop it off, and we always like to write a nice little letter to everybody who donates from our kids as a nice little touch. With that being said, in the last 2 weeks, we have created new electives within our high school that will be new for next year. Those classes will be contemporary literature, creative and critical writing, media journalism and communication, dramatic arts, world cultures, math meets culinary arts, international food and nutrition. And they're just some new electives that the kids can pick for next year. We really were looking at our students and how to broaden some things for them, and our teachers came up with some really creative ideas. I had a meeting last week with Jim Sell from Bucks County Community College. For next year, we will be offering our juniors public speaking in the fall and English composition in the spring. And for our seniors, we will be offering psychology in the fall and sociology in the spring. All classes will take place Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7 to 7:45 in the morning before school. Currently, our sociology class has about 17 students. Our teacher is Ana Rosado. Yesterday morning, our new social worker, Mrs. Rosado, yesterday brought in some people from her Bucks County services to talk to our kids early in the morning, and it was an eye-opener for some of our kids, but it's an awesome experience. We will also be adding within our school schedule next year our fire and safety class through Bucks County Community College. We will be the first program in the state of Pennsylvania to offer a fire and safety certification for our students to be firemen or fire ladies within their communities or within our community. It will be a 2-year program, and that will start, it'll be a full year, and that will start early in the fall. I want to say congrats to Jerry Devine and Rocco Parolo, who are heading our boys and girls basketball programs. They both had phenomenal years this year. They both made the state playoffs. We got knocked out, but our future looks very bright with our numbers and our overall competitiveness and the way our program is trending upwards. I also want to thank Brian Swift and Jim Denny, who were heading our wrestling program. Specifically our junior high. We had a first, a second, and a third in our junior high tournament this year. And our kids compete against Pennsbury, Council Rock, Neshaminy, all the middle schools. So we had a first, a second, and a third this year. And we're looking forward to more numbers and that program taking off. I really want to thank Debbie Kennard and Maria Ciccoletti, who head our guidance counseling department. So this week, we've totally, they presented to our 8th graders about their electives for next year, and the 8th graders have already selected their electives for the following year. So we are well ahead of where we were last year at this point in that aspect. And then today, our 9th through 11th graders picked their electives for next year. So we set a calendar out, but we're well ahead of our calendar for next year for classes. So they've been working very hard, and it's very time consuming, but without them, we would not be at where we're at right now. Last, I really want to thank, and this person here has been one of the better people that I've dealt with in any school aspect, is Amy Daly. She's our school nurse. Mrs. Daly, every week, every month, we get reports of COVID, sickness, what type of sickness, what students are using bathroom passes. She gives me more data than I can ever ask for. She is on the ball. It was an awesome hire by the school board, and we really appreciate her efforts. I don't think her name hardly ever comes out, but I really want to thank her. Last but not least, I want to thank Mrs. Rosado right here, because I don't think people realize how much she does for our community, especially food pantry, feeding people in our community. All the things she does behind the scenes is, people have no idea how much work and effort she puts in. So I want to publicly say something, so now you know all the effort she puts in, and she feeds, and her team feeds a lot of people. So it's well deserved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Rossi. Keep the good work up.
Thank you.
You're another good hire.
Could I also just mention, this is Social Workers Week, and so I think it would be appropriate to mention Mrs. Anna Rosado, and in the short 6 months that she's been here, the difference that she has made for our district in these times where, as Kate mentioned, kids have come back to school with so many different anxieties and not knowing how to deal with their emotions, and it's programs like the Peace Center and what Anna does each and every day for our students that we are so fortunate. We are just so fortunate to have her. So thank you, Anna, if you're out there listening. We appreciate it, and again, as Nick said, another great hire by the school board. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Great job.
Mr.
Okay.
President, if I could just expand upon something that Mr. Nastasi said.
Sure.
Our firefighting class, it was identified through the Commonwealth that in the 70s, we had approximately 300,000 volunteer firefighters in the Commonwealth. We're down to less than 30,000 volunteer firefighters, so there is a need. through various efforts, Bristol Borough has been selected to be the model. We're going to be the first home high school. Now, both tech schools do have it, but the first home high school to actually have a firefighting class as part of our program. We've partnered with the Bucks County Community College. For those who don't know, the Bucks County Community College basically runs firefighting services throughout the entire Commonwealth. They're running the program for us. Not only will the students receive a credit at high school, they'll also receive college credits for this, but more importantly, when they leave after the 2-year program, they will have certification in hazmat and in firefighting 1, which makes them very marketable right now because this is an area that's in huge demand. So both volunteer and paid, I mean, it could be a permanent career for them as well. So as I said, the state is looking at us as the pilot for this program, which is really an honor for Bristol Borough. So it's coming along well.
Thank you, Dr. Schaefer. You can tell Dr. Schaefer is a firefighter. Okay, public participation. Anyone from the public would like to make a comment?
Well, Mr. Chicolette, I'd just like to say that's why we hired him when I was on the board, because he was a firefighter. That would be good for us.
And he came back, right? Right, Mr. Fine, okay. All right, so that,
And yes, I just going to stay here in my seat, but I wanted to commend the school district for their help for the people of Ukraine. And I know this is an issue that is greatly on our minds, but I wanted to remind the district of our connection with the Ukraine. In 1994-95, Bristol Borough School District participated in an exchange with Ukrainian students and teachers. And in that program, we took 13 Bristol Borough students to Ukraine, and there were 2 teachers, myself and Jack Wixner, who participated in the program. And we flew into Kyiv, and then took an overnight train to Odessa and spent 3 weeks with families of students and teachers and attended school in Ukraine. And then those students and those teachers the following fall came back to Bristol Borough, and we hosted them in our homes and at our school. And so I just wanted to remind us all to think of those students who are now in their late 30s, early 40s, and think about what they're going through, because the city of Odessa is right on the line at this point. And we hope and pray that they are all safe. Thank you.
thank you for the history lesson. Can we take a photograph of that? Can you talk with Paul? Would that be appropriate to put on our website, that we're
Absolutely.
supporting these people and they had visited us? Can you show that to Paul? Yes, and
Just to make
thank
a
you.
quick comment, my wife actually went on that trip, and she's been in constant contact with the family she stayed with for years on Facebook. So she's checking in with them. Yeah. She's actually trying to find the other students' people. A lot of the guys didn't take pictures or anything, and Allison had the pictures. So she's trying to track the other students from the Ukraine down through her pictures.
And you also brought students from Ukraine later on.
Pardon me?
You also brought students from Ukraine later on.
Yes, we went and in the fall, and then they all, those who hosted us, returned in the spring and spent 3 weeks here in Bristol.
Okay, but later on, when I was principal at the high school, you had students here from Ukraine.
I'm not sure about that. Maybe it's a senior moment. I'll have to
Okay, thank you. That was awful nice.
That was nice.
Yes.
Great history lesson.
Yes, a lot of nice things happening tonight. Okay, that ends public participation. Routine monthly business.
I'm sorry to get started here. Mr. President, item 5 under routine monthly business, item A, approve minutes of February 3rd, 2022. Item B, approve the list of bills for February and March 2022. Item C, approve the treasurer's report for January and February 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cohen. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions, motion carries. Item A under new business.
Mr. President, I motion that we adopt the school calendar for the 2022-2023 school year. That calendar has been attached to the packet.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cullen. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, abstentions, motion carries. Item B.
Item B, I motion to approve the attached contract between the Bristol Borough School District and the Bucks County IU for the superintendent search.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cullen. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. Item C.
Mr. President, I motion to approve the agreement between the Bristol Borough School District and St. Mark's School for shared facilities use.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cullen. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. Item D.
Mr. President, I motion that we approve the updated health and safety plan.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cullen. Questions?
I guess maybe Tom just explain to what has changed.
What has changed in there, it reflects the CDC's current recommendations that masks are optional in schools, and we've made it optional.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Schaefer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. Personnel, under item 7.
Mr. President, I motion we approve the appointment of Janelle White, cafeteria, at an hourly rate of $10.89 per hour, no benefits as per the negotiated agreement, effective immediately.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cullen. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. Item D.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the appointment of the following daily substitutes, $105 per day, no benefits as per the master agreement, effective 2021-2022 school year.
Do I have a second?
Pete Musey.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. That's great, we're getting substitutes. Item C.
Mr. President, I motion we approve the creation of the position of Director of Facilities and Security.
Questions?
Give me a second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cullen. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. Approve the attached job description for Director of Facilities. Go ahead, Mr. D'Angelo.
I make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cullen? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions. IU representative. John, you have
I don't know that there's someone here tonight, but
you have anything to
we
report?
have continued to, the Bucks IU continues to play a big role here in the Bristol School District, and we support a lot of kids, not only intra, but also we have some programs in this building and at, I believe at the high school, where we have kids from all over that we've grouped them, and again, the IU is another one of our best partners, and as we are here hoping tonight that the equitable funding formula comes to fruition, the IU is a big part of helping lobby for that, but also, and I think it's even more important, they see that money and they put it to good use. And so they work with every district and they find out the needs, and these types of services are really expensive, and and they are concentrated in the smaller districts that are what we talked about, that are getting less. So the IU is always a great partner to us, and I'm proud to serve as the president. So
How many meetings a month do you attend there?
just one. It's a long one.
It's a long one. Okay, thank you. Information and discussion, our next board meeting will be April the 7th, 2022. So I'll go around the horn here and see if any of the school board members have any comments. Mr. Smith?
I'd like to thank Power Interfaith for all you're doing for all the small school districts and the ones that are being cheated out of the funding. Listening to you the last couple meetings are very impressive. And if there's anything I can do to help, I'd be more than willing to join. What you are doing, it's really incredible. So keep up the good work. And I'd like to thank Nick and Kelly for all their work and what they're doing for the schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Curran?
So I would also like to thank Power. But I would really extend a thank you to the Peace Center. I know bullying can be a very impactful issue for students at all ages, and it's really nice to hear just how the students are responding and how they are seeing a difference, and that we don't stop at just third grade, that we continue to provide those resources and those skills that they're going to carry on for the rest of their lives. And I would also like to thank Nick and Kelly for all their great work. And again, with the food pantry, you guys are doing an amazing job handing out the food that comes in as well. And it makes me very proud to know that we're also collecting for Ukraine. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Curran. Mr. Collins?
Oh, since Tony and Brianna thanked everybody, I'd just like to jump on that bandwagon also. I appreciate all the work everybody's done, especially to our principals behind us. They do a fantastic job.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Mr. Polyafka?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for their presentations and all the work that you put into everything. Kelly and Nick, Chris, Jen, Tom, everybody does a great job. Everybody works together. Appreciate everything. Thank you.
Mrs. Paglia?
I feel the same way. I'd like to thank everyone. I'm going to go on what everyone else is saying.
Dr. Schaefer?
And I just want to say, we couldn't do our job if it wasn't for the support of the Board of Education, which we received, and it's truly appreciated.
Mr. Trullo?
Yes, I briefly have an executive session report. The executive session started tonight at 6 o'clock, ended just before this meeting started. All board members present here were present at the executive session along with Dr. Schaefer, Mr. McHugh, Mr. Gatto, and myself. Items related to information, personnel, confidential items, and security items were discussed at the executive session. And that's all. And I want to thank everybody also for all the work you do. It helped me and our staff represent the district. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trullo. Thank you for everything you do. Mr. D'Angelo?
Thank you to the Peace Center, and thank you, Mrs. Fine, for that great history lesson. And I can only hope that the things that the Peace Center are doing and how they juxtapose with our friends in Ukraine. And let's say a prayer for them. And the other thing is, Dr. Schaefer, talking about the firefighters, and Dr. Schaefer is a firefighter, but Bristol has a great history of having firefighters. We have, for a small town, we have many volunteer fire departments, and it looks like they may be coming together now, but it's only appropriate that something like this starts in Bristol, and we have a great history of having volunteer firefighters. So thank you for doing that, and let's hope that we can continue putting out good firefighters, and like you said, in the area of first responders, hazmat, all these things now are something that's going to help people. It's required in almost every aspect of our lives. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. D'Angelo. Once again, thank you. When I was putting my tie on tonight, I heard the news say that it was before the courts and it was closing arguments. So that's a thanks to you people for making everyone aware that the funding is unfair. And Mr. Fine has been saying this for many years. I can see the smile on his face tonight. Thank you, Jim, for keeping us informed as to the group's activities and, what's going on in Harrisburg. So thank you so much. And once again, thank you for coming, everyone, and could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Meeting adjourned.